This is Up for Debate, episode number 303, recorded November 5th, 2025. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate, the debate podcast where the two of us agree on everything. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by a man of a million twists. Why, it's M. Night Shyamalan's Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Sean. Good evening to you. What do you what
Good
do you think?
evening.
What do you think an M Night Shyamalan version of me would be like?
I think the obvious answer is that you're dead, already. You know, you can go with the Sixth Sense twist. I'm going to go with, like, you're actually the devil, maybe?
That's pretty convincing. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Um, I think your M Night. You know what your M Night Shyamalan would be? You would be a painter who actually paints people who when he paints them, they get trapped inside the painting forever.
Okay, I like that.
But then it all turns out to be a video
I was
game.
in the painting the whole time.
You were in the painting and you were a video game character. It's all a video game that your alter ego designed, who looks just like you. And his name is John Shennings.
Oh my god. I've
And
always wanted
he
an evil
what a
twin.
twist. And that's what I
What a
think
twist. Listen,
your M. Night Shyamalan would
we're,
be.
we're going to have a lot of twists tonight, Matt, because we are continuing our look at movies of the 2000s. Our bracket challenge to find the most 2000s movies. We've already gotten through a few genres. If you haven't listened to those episodes, go back and do so. Kids films. We did action films. We did host choice. And tonight we are doing dramas. And Matt, I got to get two things off my chest right up front. Our usual disclaimer: we're not good at this. We're going to pick the wrong movie. This doesn't make any sense. It's solely based on our opinions. But the other thing, Matt, is can you make me a promise here, live on the show, that the next time we watch movies for the show, can we please watch a good movie? It doesn't have to even be the best movie. It doesn't even be like an Academy Award winning film, but like something that doesn't suck. I'm
Well,
exhausted because I don't know that we've watched a single good movie yet.
I
Like,
don't
I'd have to
know
go back and look at the list.
I don't know if it'll be the next thing we watch. It might be because we're approaching the holidays. We have to
Oh, that's right.
fulfill a Rankin and Bass agreement from last year. We have to watch um the Great Ack,
Yeah, we've
and
got
for that, the Great Ack, um, which is not the name of the movie. That's the name of a character from the movie. The movie is The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus.
that's
Um,
right.
that movie is a great movie. I promise you that. You will leave that film feeling its greatness. So, um, I don't know if that'll be the next movie we watch. There may be a film between now and then, but I can make that promise that that one will be a great one for sure. And incidentally, there is something else that I wanted to talk to you about off mic. Not necessarily a movie, but a show that I think we would both enjoy if we watched.
Okay.
It's not like a syndicated show or anything. It's an awards show that I happened to watch while I was bedridden with the flu, couch ridden with the flu. So we'll talk about that. But that's another. It's going to be another great piece of viewing. Um, so those are that's a promise I feel like I can make right here.
Okay. I hope that's the case because I am exhausted. I had to watch these four films against my will. Um,
Did you
and
save
tonight
any
we're
for the
doing drama.
plane? Any like plane ride when you
I
were
did. I
in Vegas?
watched no. I watched these like 2 months ago.
Okay.
And then tonight I rewatched a bunch of clips because I had forgotten what had happened in most of them. I also did one of my favorite activities, which I recommend people do, is go watch the original trailers from when the movies came out. And it's very funny to see how they marketed the movie versus what it actually was, and I'll talk about some of that when we get into specifics. Now we got four movies we're going to talk about tonight. We've got, in order of release, we have Planet of the Apes, we have The Terminal, we have The Village, and we have Twilight. And I think it's a pretty good mix of films. Certainly, yes, they're all drama, I guess. I really actually I wouldn't don't even know I'd call them all dramas. Now, is there a particular film you'd like to start with?
Let's start with, I think, the most recent one that I saw on this list, which was The Terminal.
The Terminal. Uh,
Yeah.
Matt, this is I teased this before we started recording. The Terminal is an all-time Sean classic. There are certain movies of the 2000s that I saw in theaters, I owned on DVD, I've seen a million times for some reason. The Terminal is a very strange movie, and I would like to just start by simply saying, is it a drama film? It's like
In
it's
some
like
ways. In
an
some ways it
offbeat
is.
comedy.
Yeah, I think I don't I throughout the whole movie, I was confused about how I was supposed to feel about everything. And I think that was part of its intention. Actually kinda liked it. I mean, I really liked the film, but I think I kind of liked how I was made to question my own feelings about certain things happening. Um, uh, in some ways, yeah, there were definitely some funny moments, like when he's trying to talk, like he's in the air, he's trying to like navigate the airport, and people are like ignoring him and stuff. I thought that was kind of that would like it had its moments with that. Initially, I think you're supposed to feel bad because he gets stranded in an airport, and he's trying to go home, and his country stops existing. That's the whole premise, right? His country is
Krakosia,
yeah, gets
the Great Republic of Krakosia,
now
yes, as a military coup.
I want to know, like, could this actually happen in real life? Like, could you
So
what would
it's
like
based on a true story. Are you
okay.
aware of this?
No, I was not.
There was an Iranian refugee who lived in the Charles de Gaulle airport for 8 years, at which point he was hospitalized. And it's very loosely based on his life. He was expelled from Iran, got to the airport, but wouldn't be accepted into Europe nor into Iran. So he lived in the airport.
Did people know he was living in the airport, or was he like a
Yes.
they were okay.
Yep. But they couldn't do anything with him.
Okay.
Just
How
like
is
Viktor
he
Navorsky.
Yeah. Okay. So, what were your what I actually really like Tom Hanks in this. Like, in some movies, I think he doesn't fit. Like, I thought he was kind of strange in like Captain Phillips. A lot of people liked him in that film. I just thought it was like I couldn't stop seeing Tom Hanks. That's the main problem with him is that in like many of the films he's in, I it's hard to see his character through him. Um, because so many of them are just him. Like when he played Walt Disney in that film,
Mm, Saving
as
Mrs. Banks.
saving his yeah. So that one uh seemed like I just kept seeing him the whole time. And this one, he kind of melded into the character a little bit more, maybe because of the accent, maybe because of the quirkiness of it. But I thought it works for him. I thought that the airport looked pretty, I say, like they talk about like liminal spaces. If you imagine him not in the scenes, it could be very like liminal space. And I thought I thought they did a good job with like the settings and stuff. But I don't know. What did you think about Tom Hanks acting in this?
Yeah, well, first of all, I will say, Matt, that is not a real airport. They constructed that scene in a giant hangar, and they literally built an entire, like, real life size airport terminal, which is pretty interesting. That was part of the marketing of the movie was the fact that it was like the largest stage ever built up to that point. Um, Listen, I'm a fan of Tom Hanks, the comedian. His early work, some of his comedies he did early in his career. I think he's a very funny guy, and I agree with you. The sort of this movie has no plot really. Really, it barely has a plot. It's a bunch of things that happen, vignettes and scenes that happen. that I generally like. Um, it's a movie that's pleasant to watch, and I think it is solely riding on Tom Hanks's performance. I think anybody else in this role, or certainly a worse actor, this movie would be horrible. This movie would be unwatchable because it makes no sense. Like, it's really a weird movie. But I think his just like nice guy, pleasant. He does the funny accent. You see his character progression. He plays it off really realistically, but a little bumbly. And he's just a character you root for. And that's hard, I think, as an actor to be the guy people like get behind and believe in. And so I think he's phenomenal. But I also think a lot of that is credit to Spielberg, right? Who directed this film. This was right after Catch Me If You Can, which is another one of my favorite films. I love that movie. Another Tom Hanks film, um, which he's great in. But I think it is Spielberg that kind of brings that humanity touch to it. That this is, it's not story driven, it's character driven. And I think you need a Tom Hanks in the role to really, and by the way, I'll give credit to Stanley Tucci, who I think is very good in this, as the sort of the head of security, where he has to play a villain to a character we all love. And that's hard to do. And I think he plays it really well in this.
Oh, yeah. Stanley Tucci's one of the greats. He's one of the greats. But I think, yeah, this was a good role for him. Standout role. What a like let's get into the 2000s-ness of this film, since that's our MO, is finding the most 2000s movie. Um
Yes.
Anything stand out to you in terms of the aesthetics or the placement? Was there anything very 2000s about this film?
The product placement,
Yeah,
I would say.
that's
No,
yeah.
I think what was interesting is, again, I watched the trailer for this movie when it came out, in 2004, and it was pitched as a romantic comedy between Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones, obviously the two biggest names in the film, two Academy Award winners. And it was really pitched as like a meet cute, fall in love, and that's kind of not what the movie is. It is, but it doesn't. That's not the movie. Let me put it that way. And so if this movie were a romantic comedy, it would feel more 2000s to me. But overall, I kind of feel it's not that super 2000s-y. I mean, I think there's some of the look and feel, the way people dress, a little bit, the product placement. But overall, it does feel a little timeless to a degree to me. And I think that's the Spielbergness of it. He's a very timeless filmmaker. But it wasn't super 2000s-y. What was your take on that? And while you're talking, you talk. I have to step away for a minute. I can hear you in my ears, so I'll hear
You
everything you
got
say.
it.
So keep talking.
Okay. So I yeah, I thought that that was a little bit of a misdirect. The fact that the romance happened, yeah, for sure. It was like, it was part of it, but it wasn't nearly a big contributing part to it. I happened to watch the trailers before, like going in, just to kind of like refresh a little bit. I watch in reverse order. I mean, I like watch the film and then watch the trailers after, and it yeah, kind of was misdirecting. I agree. So um one thing about the product placement, um I thought was cool, was just like a little bit of a nostalgic trip of kind of seeing all the stuff in the airport, all the things like around. They had the technology was definitely dated back to 2004. So that was kind of cool. It's always I that's one of my things, is I always really like the vintage or retro style of I guess, at the time it wasn't meant to be, but looking back now, that was already like 21 years ago. So yeah, stuff, it's cool to see. It's cool to see that.
Yeah, I would also say, by the way, the music. I love that, like, plotting, like, do 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 do, like, music style. And it was all over this film. It felt very airporty.
Very
And
fitting,
so I
yeah.
did appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely very fitting for that setting. I like that. I just like I wonder if thematically this film like how close thematically does the terminal fit with our 2000s vibe? Like thinking about, like kind of being in transition from one phase to the next, the 2000s, early 2000s especially, like kind of stuck in limbo, um a nation stuck in limbo, right at the start of the Iraq war. I don't know. Foreign affairs. There's a lot. I think there's stuff there that real film analysts would like to pick at. What do you think about that? Any
Well,
stylistically speaking, any themes
yeah, I
stick
mean, there
out?
isn't. There's not a good comp to this movie. Like, what movie is this movie like? And there's not a lot. What's interesting to me is Spielberg's filmography, because prior to The Terminal in 2004, he was on maybe the greatest hit streak a director has ever been on ever. Starting in 93, so 11 years earlier, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Amistad, which is okay, Saving Private Ryan, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal. Hit after hit after hit. His movies after this: War of the Worlds, disaster. Munich, good. Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, disaster. Adventures of Tintin, disaster. War Horse, forgettable. Lincoln, good. And then it's like Bridge of Spies, the BFG. I mean, this was really kind of the end of the Spielberg run, and that might be why it feels a little lifeless. Um, Mind you, this was also, and not to get too much into the whole backstory, but this was also right in the sort of where DreamWorks, which was started by Spielberg along with Katzenberg and David Geffen, um, had taken off but was starting to fall. So this was a really kind of tough time in Spielberg's life and career. So through that lens, it just doesn't feel as focused as it could have been. And so I don't know that I could, if you had, again, the movie feels a little timeless to me. If you said this came out in 2012, I'd probably believe you. And if you said this movie came out in 96, I'd probably believe you. It's just its own thing. Um, that's my take.
Yeah. How did this perform? Like, what was the reception for this?
Yes, well, first of all, I was there. I saw it in theaters. I had a choice between seeing this and Fahrenheit 9/11 from Michael Moore. I saw this. Um, it was a commercial success, 219 million worldwide, um, on a $60 million budget, so it was profitable. And again, this was in that streak where, um, you put Spielberg's name on a movie and it sold a lot of tickets. So that's not a surprise. It's a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. I wouldn't say it's a critic favorite,
Yeah.
but again, it's just a very human film, and I think it's a very character film, and that's one of the reasons I enjoy watching it. Um, is because it's just pleasant. It's just something you can have on and smile.
Yeah. It has almost like a Hallmark vibe to it. And what I mean by that is just like you kind of get the sense that everything's going to be okay like
Yeah,
throughout the
very
film.
much so.
You know,
Very much
you
so.
don't think something like catastrophically bad is going to happen at any
No
point
one's gonna
as well.
die. There's not any
Yeah.
real drama.
Yeah. And it's yeah. Well, and I like that. I say that fondly. I think that sometimes you need something like that. It can't all just be on the edge of your seat, you know,
But
is this
that's
guy going to
also
make it out of the meat grinder or not? Like,
that's where I challenge calling this a drama, though. And by I think the technical book of the law, it is considered a drama, but it's really a lot of comedy. And I'm not saying slapstick comedy, but I'm saying situational comedy. A lot of it's played for laughs. So a good movie, just an interesting duck for sure.
yeah. It kind of also had some castaway-ish vibes, not just because of Tom Hanks, but like I guess the sense of the isolation that he feels, and the separation from the world.
And
There
there are
was
planes in
yeah,
both movies.
there are planes. I
He
was
is
waiting for
stranded because of
Wilson.
planes.
I thought maybe
Yeah.
Wilson was gonna make a cameo at some point. That would have been kind of funny, but or maybe Castaway could be on in the background.
Well, there you go.
I don't know.
He
Um,
turns the corner and there's like a Tom Hanks souvenir shop. He's like,
Yeah,
wait,
imagine.
this guy looks like me.
Or there's a guy in like a white, the white suit sitting on a bench like Forrest Gump, like I'm just
And
waiting
turns
for
out
my flight.
Tom Hanks is in a coma and this movie takes place in his head. And
There's
he's
this
in the
whole
airport waiting to go to heaven or hell.
Sheriff Woody dolls. There's just every moment in his career is like a part of this airport. Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would definitely see. Now you got me. Why can't I think of his name? The guy he started Bosom Buddies with,
Oh.
Peter. Starts with an S. I'm so stupid. I know this. Um, who's very funny, and I like that guy a lot.
Oh, it's
Um,
Peter Scolari.
Peter
I
Scolari.
looked it
Thank
up.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Who is very funny.
Yes.
But Peter Scolari shows up.
Yeah.
Anyhow. All right, Matt, we got to move on to another movie here. What would you like to hit next?
um I think that could be up to you. I think what would you like to hit next? What would you like
Well, Matt,
to
I think
talk about?
we should leave the terminal and take a one-way trip to the village,
Oh, I think that sounds
where
good.
airplanes are not allowed, actually.
Not at all.
Um, Matt, had you seen the village before this?
I did, but a very, very long time ago.
Okay, so
Um,
you knew the twist.
I did. This was one of the movies that back when my grandpa was alive, he would babysit sometimes. He would kind of like watch, my sister and I, and he would get these movies from the library. And sometimes they would be foreign films. We watched like some Pakistani films together. We watched some Italian film. He would get like just all kinds of just whatever what he was into. He would go to our local library and get them on like VHS and DVD. It's how I saw Titanic for the first time when I was way too young to be watching Titanic. Um, but this was one of the movies that I remember we watched was The Village. And so it was kind of in a way, I guess, a little bit of an introduction for horror because I don't really remember seeing a horror movie before that. So this may have been one of the earliest horror movies I remember,
Wow.
kind of watching. And uh but yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember the twist. I remember the girl, and so when I'm rewatching it, I was like kind of thinking back to that. So uh the what did you think of the twist? Like did it do it for you here?
Well, yes and no. This is um, it's a twist that works on paper. I think it's clever. I just don't know. I think I have a bigger thought about M. Night and this film, which is I like twists. I get the whole thing. But for a twist like this to work, you have to have such a willing suspension of disbelief that if you seriously think about any second of this movie, you're like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, why all the things that happen, knowing the twist, and like if you just watched it once and you're like, that was fine, and then the second time you watch it, you're like, wait a second, none of this, they wouldn't be doing this, and how does everyone not know? And all this, like,
Yeah.
it just there's so much stupid
That
shit.
that was kind of the lens that I watched it through this time through. I was like I was waiting for like somebody to figure it out and be like this doesn't make any sense. It keeps going because it has to. But you think at some point it would unravel because of its kind of the weight of it. But
There's just so much of it that's just baffling. But and this is the conclusion I kind of come to on M. Night is like, if you look at this movie in the scope of all movies ever made, you would say it's not very good. I think if you look at it, though, through the eyes of M. Night Shyamalan and what he was trying to accomplish with the film, his vision, and that's one thing I give the man credit for, is he directs his films, he writes his films, he's very involved, he has a vision. I think he succeeded in the vision he was trying to do. I think it looks like the movie he wanted. I think the actors acted like he wanted. I think the story progresses as he wanted. Now, is it successful? We can debate that. but I see the vision. I see what he was going for. I think there's some very beautiful shots in the movie. I think the acting isn't particularly terrible or anything. I just think he shot for the moon and was definitely going to miss it, but still accomplished what he wanted. So I wouldn't say I hate this movie or the movie's terrible. I would say it just didn't work.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know, but
almost.
what are your thoughts?
I thought it was almost like a first draft, like a early draft kind of. If I feel like if the story had been worked on a little bit more, it could have been it could have been even better. Just to add a little bit. They could have added a little bit more layers and nuance to the town, to the actual, like, the village, the cult and stuff. They could have maybe, I don't know. It felt pretty raw, I guess. The the things going on there and stuff. Uh, it was a good. I thought the first act was ultimately a lot better than the second. Like,
It gets
post
worse as
twist,
it goes on,
it
for
does.
sure.
Yeah, I thought I almost wanted to really just continue with the illusion throughout knowing that it was about to be broken. And then the movie just got worse and worse after that. Um,
Well, I think the problem with the Shyamalan twist concept is that A, it's going to work 1 out of every 100 times, and it did with The Sixth Sense. But the other thing is, like, a twist doesn't have to be a single moment. And that's what M. Night always does, is everything has to lead up to the one moment where you're like, whoa. But I'm thinking of a version of this movie where, like, a modern man, like, stumbles in from the woods. He's lost in the woods, and he stumbles upon the village, and he says, "What's going on here? Did I travel back in time? What is happening? Is this a real village?" He's the future guy trying to figure out what's going on. Like, yeah, the twist isn't a single moment, but you carry it throughout the film, and it keeps things interesting
yeah,
for large swaths of the film. I'm just saying, like, there's ways to be creative about these twisted stories, but when you spend 90 minutes setting something up for a 5-second reveal, it's annoying.
yeah. I think maybe it could have been cool if it was like you weren't sure if this guy time traveled or what was really going on, and then that the reveal is that not that he, like, traveled through time, but that this village is like this strange cult in the middle of the woods that doesn't let anybody out and to see, like, the world. um I just thought that yeah, I'm with you though. It does have some nice shots. It does have some, like, very gorgeous, like, camera work. um Kind of ahead of its time, like, in some ways. I was like, oh, is that like a drone shot? Like, is that, like, but this is before I think drones were really invented, or I mean, they
Yeah,
had
no, it
other
was a
ways of getting
helicopter
it, but
shot.
very
You
cool. Yeah,
know,
no, some cool camera work for sure.
no, it didn't look bad at all. Again, it had a style. You know,
Yeah,
it was shot in a style, and you might not like it, but it's a style. Um, Now you look at what Adrian Brody does in the movie, and you're like, okay, that's too much. You look at
yeah,
some of the acting in the film. Although I think Joaquin Phoenix, I actually do think is pretty good in this. I will give credit where credit's due.
yeah.
Um, but ultimately, it's just not a very interesting movie.
No, not really. Nah, not too much there. Might work better as a book. I don't know. Was this based on a book or is this an original? I
It
got
was
this.
based on an original
Okay.
idea by M. Night.
Yeah. I had like I don't know. Was like, this could have been like a Stephen King. It almost had like a Stephen King tinge to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, what's interesting, Matt, fun fact, is that the original's film ending actually ends when she climbs over the wall. And they later went back and shot more scenes to continue where she returns to the village,
They end it.
which I do think helps.
Yeah. Mm.
Now, one of the interesting things, I talked about Spielberg. If you look at Shyamalan's filmography, this was also a turning point in his career. The Sixth Sense coming out in 99, Unbreakable in 2000, Signs in 2002, arguably maybe his 3 best movies. and this comes out next in 2004. And most people consider this the when people got tired of him, sort of the turning point, because then you look at his next films, Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, After Earth. Not one of the best stretches we've ever seen.
I forgot about Signs. Mel Gibson, right?
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. Mel
yeah.
Gibson. And who was this? Joaquin Phoenix was in that as
Joaquin
well.
Phoenix again, yeah. All right. So how about what about the 2000-ness of this? Of the 2000s-ness of The Village?
Buy it. I buy it as a 2000s movie. I don't think it's the most 2000s. It's not crazy, but I do think M. Night did define the 2000s in a lot of ways. That was when he was at his peak, and that was when we saw twist movies and sort of um other sort of horror movies of the genre and that growing. And so I do think it definitely had an impact. Does it feel 2000s? I'm not in looking. What would you say?
I think it does. I think it does. I don't know. To me, it did. It there is a little bit of a timeless kind of quality to it. But I thought something about the lighting made me think just like that had it had this like 2000s
Well,
atmosphere. I don't know.
I will tell you, this
Yeah.
movie was legitimately lit by candlelight,
Really?
notably, which is rare. Usually they fake it with lighting, but he made a specific point to it made the shooting the movie very difficult.
Yeah.
But he made a specific point that it should be shot by candlelight.
Yeah, maybe it's that kind of real authentic like the authenticity of it. Um
I
that
think that's kind of why it feels cheap a little
Yeah.
bit, is because it is shot very realistically. It doesn't feel like a cinematic movie, you know what I mean? It feels pretty close to life.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I would have to say that it did feel it felt slightly 2000s to me. I could see it. The sentiment was there. Um the aesthetic was there. And yeah. I it felt 2000s horror like you kind of got that I got that sense. But
I agree.
yeah. Now I gotta watch the video that says all the clues you missed.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of YouTube essays
Yeah.
on The Village for sure. All right. Well, that was The Village, Matt. I think we should leave The Village, um, and never go back,
Mm.
and instead take a trip over to the Planet of the
All
Apes.
right. This is what I've been
Parentheses
waiting for.
2001. Um, Now, Matt, had you seen Planet of the Apes before?
I had, yes. I
Yes.
remember watching this when it was on it was on like TV. It was on like Fox or something. Like it just randomly was just aired on TV and I remember watching the entire thing. Um and I have so many feelings about it. But
Well, jump on in, man. What do you
I
think of Planet of the Apes?
I might be the only person out there. It's okay. I've come to terms with it. The only person out there that likes this movie on a par with, and maybe even more so than the original film. I like this one a lot. I was a
It's going to take a
very
lot to
big
sell
fan of
me
it.
on that. I'm
I was a
fine if you
very big
like
fan
this
of this
movie.
one.
I think saying it is on par or better than the original might be pushing it,
Oh,
but
for
okay.
me,
So you can
for
sell me
me,
on it.
like in terms of my own enjoyment, I'm not saying like quality because obviously I don't think you could hold a candle to Charlton Heston and everything else that
They're very different. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they are in many ways different. This was a much more of like a straight action kind of movie, and the other one I remember is much more sci-fi, long form kind of based around like get more glimpses of the society. I think this is more just like they kind of take a lot of the things, but they add. I don't know. I thought they made it like faster paced. Um, And then of course you got the shot of the final reveal. The final reveal is so different in this movie.
Abraham Lincoln.
That was all, yeah, Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln Memorial with like the monkey face. Uh, I thought, because I was like, how are they gonna? They're in DC. They're not in New York. Like, I don't know. That was so good, so good. So thinking about that twist at the end of the original must have been something. That must have been way better than a Shyamalan twist. Like when you
Well,
finally see the Statue of Liberty at the end.
to be fair, people back then, I think, weren't as media literate as we are today. So I think any twist in a movie, I think, would have really wowed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about this Planet of the Apes?
Um, I had not seen it. This was my first time seeing it. I had seen the original. I'm a fan of the original. I do think it's a good movie. It is of its time, but I think it's a good movie. There are things I like and things I don't like. I think overall, I didn't particularly like it. I think Wahlberg was the wrong choice. I think there's way too much like monkeys flying around all everywhere, which is crazy. The wire work is nuts in this movie. But I just think overall, it's just not the reason the original movie works is, yes, it's not an exciting movie, but movies in the 70s and the 60s weren't exciting movies. You know what I mean? Like, that was the whole point, is movies were really boring back in 68. This was made in 2001. The movie is still really boring. I was amazed when I watched the trailer for it that they pitched it as like an action-packed thrill ride with like the 2000s rock and guitar and in a world, you know? And then I watched the movie and I'm like, they spent a lot of time like talking and like talking. Even the action scenes aren't like that. They ride a lot of horses. Like, I don't know. I think maybe Burton wasn't the right director. Maybe if you had, if Michael Bay directed, or some like high energy, high action guy, it might have been more thrilling. But I just don't know that this one necessarily improved on the original. I think it was just a little too close to it in a decade when it needed more action and excitement.
Yeah, watching this was just like straight comfort to me. I was just like, I don't know, I was comforted by it just because it was, I remember watching it on TV when it came out back in the day. I also remember being like, oh, this is like a legendary film, Planet of the Apes. Because I think I was a kid, I didn't really know. I thought maybe it was the original one. I didn't know. I just knew it was Planet of the Apes. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm watching like this legendary film. I didn't remember how weird the costumes were. There's like a weirdness. Like, they tried to make them more human looking, I think, than ape. And there's
Yeah,
like
they
a little
were
bit of
they were
there's an
less.
uncanniness to it, to the costumes.
Well, I think they're less wild than in the original. Like the original, it felt like more of an ape society, and I think in this one, it felt like more of a human society that
Yeah.
they just happen to be apes.
Yeah. Maybe that's more, that's like it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you know, I do think Wahlberg really does not help. I do think you need a more charismatic actor in that role. Um, for one, and now, Matt, have you seen the reboot? The ones that came out in the 2010s?
I saw the first one. Like the very first one. I
With
don't think I
James Franco.
Yeah, with James Franco. Didn't not Nothing after that. I don't remember too much about it, to be honest, but I do remember seeing the first one in theaters.
Well, I think I give them credit because I think eventually the movie sort of caught up with the Planet of the Apes, but that first one was a prequel essentially, right? Saying how it started. Um, and I think that was such a better approach than just remaking the original. Um, because I do feel like it's a story very of its time in the 60s, with everything that was going on in the space, program, And I just think it better fit there, and I just don't know a straight remake makes sense for the 2000s. Whereas if you had told a version of that story, or by the way, I think if HBO came out right now and did a 10-episode miniseries, Planet of the Apes, I think it'd be very interesting. But just a straight reboot, headed by Mark Wahlberg, directed by Tim Burton, it's just an odd mix.
This is it's a movie I hadn't thought of in a really long time. I don't know.
Nobody thinks
I
about this
enjoyed its
movie.
weirdness. I just thought it was I
Oh, there's
embraced
stuff to
it.
like.
Yeah.
There's definitely stuff to like. The makeup is incredible.
Yeah.
I will say the apes look great. Um, I do think it's not like poorly directed. It does look good and expensive.
It made me feel things. It made me feel like, wow, this would really suck if this was my society. Like if society was ruled by apes. This is
Wow, I
terrible.
really wouldn't want to go to a Planet of the Apes.
I
Like
I
that's your takeaway.
I found myself thinking that and saying that throughout the film. I was, even as a child, I was like, I am grateful and appreciative for what I have because I don't live in this scary ape planet where apes keep humans as pets. This is bad. Everything is backwards here.
That's another point where it's like this movie falls into the similar trap of The Village, where it's like they threw out some of the logic to make the movie. Forget about Abraham Lincoln, which makes no sense. But also the fact in the movie, they can't decide whether they're slaves or they're animals. Like the
They kind of
original,
both.
it's very clear. They treat the humans like animals, like we would treat a monkey. But in this one, they call them slaves all the time.
That's true.
And
There is a strangeness
there's kind
to
of
it.
like this weird, like we don't go into the jungles, get a bunch of apes, and then like buy and sell them to each other.
And then
That would be a slave. So again, I think the movie kind of wants to have its cake and eat it too in that respect.
yeah, that I thought maybe they were trying to make some kind of a commentary there that that wasn't in the original. Um that that yeah, I think they were trying to like maybe like have them be like farm like animals that work on farms, like oxen and stuff. Like but you wouldn't call an oxen a slave. Like that's you just it's just an animal like that works on the on it works for you. Like so yeah. I happen to like Marky Mark here in this role. I thought he was pretty good in this movie. Um who would you have who do you think you would picked instead?
In 2001,
2001 Mel Gibson?
hmm. Well, maybe. I mean, let's see, best actors of 2001.
Who would fit this role here in
Who would have been
2001?
hot? Who could they have gotten in 2001? Is Jake Gyllenhaal a bad choice?
How about Justin Timberlake?
Will Smith. Now,
Will
Will
Smith.
Smith would have been
Yeah.
crazy in this. That would have
They
been that movie would have been awesome.
yeah. All right. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Will Smith's a good pick. 2001's Will Smith.
Or like
I
Bruce Willis,
yeah,
maybe?
definitely. Yeah. Brad Pitt.
I'm looking at the highest grossing actors of 2001.
Brad Pitt would have
How
been.
many of these make sense for this movie?
Kevin Spacey.
Tom Cruise? No,
Okay.
I don't think Tom Cruise would really work. Ben Affleck might not be a terrible choice. I don't know if it's a great choice. Ooh, what about here's a twist for you. Brennan Fraser.
Oh, okay.
That could
I
have been
think
cool.
also could have been interesting. Yeah.
I think it's a different tone, but Matt Damon, I think, could have done it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Matt Damon definitely. It would be like early Martian. He'd be kind of like sarcastic and stuff. Yeah.
Or we could have Tom
Pierce
Hanks doing his Caucasian accent.
How about Pierce Brosnan? Pierce Brosnan was hot in 2001.
Pierce Brosnan was hot in 2001. He was very hot. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
But then you'd have to have all of the apes have British accents too.
Yeah. That would have been a tonal shift.
That's important.
Yep. Maybe instead of the Buckingham instead of the ape at the Lincoln Memorial, it would have been Buckingham Palace. It could have been one of the palace guards. The mask comes down and it's an ape. Oh no. I don't know. Something like that.
A wacky film to be sure. But it's 2000s-ness. I definitely there's stuff to point to, right? This was the era of the early it says right here, "Hi guys,
No.
Jelly Jubilee,
Hello,
our
Jelly.
personal friend."
Welcome.
I just came on, so I don't know if you talked about this already, but did you mention Brendan Fraser? And did you hear they are making a new Mummy movie with him and Rachel Weisz? I've never seen a Mummy movie.
Really?
Yes,
Never
should
seen The
I?
Mummy. No. They were kinda bad, but, the first one was okay. But you're not really missing anything. That would've been a good one to do for this, for our little project here.
Well,
The
didn't
Mummy
that come
was
out in the
very
90s
2000s.
though?
Did it? I thought it was 2000s.
The Mummy,
Oh,
1999.
99. So, okay, so very close,
Just missed it,
but
but
yeah,
I agree.
you're not missing too much, I promise you. The special effects did not age well. Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, we need more Brendan Fraser in our lives.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to say about the Planet of the Apes, Matt?
Uh, the Planet of the Apes 2001. No, not really. I liked it. It didn't. I admit, like a rewatch of it, it didn't really hold up as much as seeing it the original time. When I was a kid watching it, I felt like I was getting away with something because I was watching like an adult movie that was classic that everybody knew, not knowing that it
Well,
was
there
a
is the
complete
monkey
remake.
sex scene.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the edition I watched in as a kid because I remember I watched it on TV. So, um, but yeah. Yeah, all right. I think, what about its 2000s-ness?
It's got stuff going for it. Part of a reboot, setting up a potential franchise, big name director, big marketing campaign to roll it out, ultimately flopping. Although it was profitable, it did actually do. It was the ninth highest grossing movie of 2001, so it was financially successful, but not liked. And the future series was canceled. So, from that respect, um, I think it qualifies as a 2000s movie. Um, Again, reminds me of like X-Men or sort of like those big sort of franchise kickoff glossy sort of IP films of the time. What would you say?
Um, I would say if we got Will Smith to star, we'd probably have to put who would be the female lead across from Bill from Will?
The monkey or the human
The
female lead?
human. Who would be the human female?
The human lady? Um Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, that's it. That would have been a much better movie. Yeah.
That would have been an Oscar winning film.
Although I don't remember who the actress is in this one, but I
No,
liked
she was
her.
fine. I don't think she ever did
She's a
anything.
Canadian model.
Estella Warren.
Yeah. No, she was good. I liked her.
And by the way, you know who we didn't talk about who is really great in everything? A Mount Rushmore Sean actor, the great Paul Giamatti,
Paul Giamatti.
who's wild in this.
Yeah.
He is going for it as the slave owner.
Yeah. No, he was chewing up the scene. Yeah, I liked him in this
Was
one.
awesome.
Yep. Wow, we got Paul Giamatti and Stanley Tucci mentioned in the same episode.
Man, this is all
Mm,
hits, man.
all the hits.
Um, all right, Matt. Well, we've got one more movie on our list.
We did it.
It's not a planet, it's not a village, it's not a terminal. It's a small town in Washington, sleepy town in Washington called Forks. It is Twilight, the 2008 film based on the wildly successful novel by Stephanie Meyer. Um, a massive box office hit, spawned an entire franchise. Matt, I got to ask this because I am curious. A, have you ever read the book? And B, have you ever seen the movie before this?
So the second answer to that is no. I haven't seen the movie. The answer to your first question is I really did, attempted to read the book back when it was first out, it was first popular. I made it no fooling. I think I made it exactly a page and a half in. And like front back, I read like the first front back full pages and I I couldn't. I just really couldn't any like after that. I never in my life did I want to throw a book, because even if a book that I don't like, it's still a book. But this one, never before did I want to just watch its spine break, and I wanted to throw it so far into a dumpster. I really hated the writing style of Stephanie Meyer, and everything it just seemed so stupid and like painful and vapid, and I had a real visceral reaction to attempting to read Twilight, so I never finished. I never even came close. Um, how about you? Have you read Twilight?
Yeah, so back in when we were in high school, back when the books were new and surging in popularity, I read the whole series because I had to be part of the pop culture conversation. They're exceptionally poorly written books. I couldn't agree with you more. They're not good. That being said, I remember really enjoying the book at the time, knowing full well it was, it's sort of like the junk food of books. Like I know this is bad for me and making me stupider, but I kind of liked them. The books do get worse as they go on.
Yeah, see, I already had that in my life. I was reading the Bantam Star Wars books, so
Oh,
that
see,
was
so you
already
couldn't. That was a
my
little too
junk
much.
food books. I already had. I was good. I was good.
Um, but the first book and even the second book, I mean, they're good for what they are. Let me put it that way. They could be worse. Now the interesting thing is I had not seen the movie either prior to this. This was my first time seeing it, and that, oh boy, this of all the movies we talked about tonight, this may be the most fun I had watching a movie. Because this movie is like legitimately stupid. In a way I enjoyed.
Sean, I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. I couldn't
But this
watch
is
it,
the
Sean.
one
I'm
you
sorry.
needed to watch, Matt.
I'm
If
so
I if
sorry.
I
I didn't. I
if I
didn't
could
watch
tell you to
Twilight.
watch one,
I just
this would have
couldn't.
been the one.
But this was
No,
the one
Matt,
that I just couldn't
I'm
do it.
so serious. You would have been so fascinated by this. So let me just give you the sort of breakdown on this, and maybe I'll
Okay.
make you watch it
Okay.
along with our next 4 movies, and we'll do 5 next week.
If you
But
sit me down and make me like watch it with you, I'll
let me
watch
try and
it.
sell
But
you on it.
I just
Let me sell
couldn't
you
do
on it.
it. I
So,
was just like, there were so many other things I wanted to do with my time other than sit there and watch Twilight. So I
and yet
said,
you watched The
Sean,
Village.
I said, I love you, Sean, but I just can't. This one time, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I just
Come on.
couldn't.
This is the one thing that I ask you to do. No, so here's the thing, right? This movie is basically exact. I will give it credit. This may be, in my mind, one of the most faithful film adaptations of a book. It looks and feels and has the exact same story as a book. So credit where it's due there. Matt, it looks like it was made for $5. It looks so cheap. The acting is not particularly good. The dialogue is terrible. The whole movie has that weird blue filter on it that every
I
movie for
knew
the next like
that.
10 years
Yeah,
had. It looks weird.
I saw the spider monkey scene, which was
Yeah. Oh yeah.
embarrassing.
Oh yeah.
Embarrassing.
The special
Embarrassing is the
effects
word.
are bad.
Embarrassing is the word I would use for that one, and it does kind of give a sense of that this movie could be made today by children, by like kids with a camera.
Honestly, it looks like it was made by AI because like there's stuff happening in the background that just like is garbled. Like they're in the school and like, well, first of all the kids look like they're 30, but like people will just like stop in the background and like they're like NPCs. It's weird.
Okay.
This movie. Now,
All right. Now
I will
you're making me wish that I
honestly,
watched it.
Matt,
Okay.
watch. You don't have to finish it. If you get
Okay.
through half of it, I will be
Okay.
happy. There's a shot, I kid you not, I busted out audibly laughing where there's a shot where like they want to show that Edward can like run really fast because he's a vampire, but they obviously didn't have money to do that. So it's like an incline with like rocks and trees, and you don't see his legs. It's just his body going just like up an incline. It looks so fake and it's so funny.
They
There's
use
a
like a
scene where she
miniature.
like,
Like what is it like a?
no, it's him, but like they're like they couldn't animate his legs moving fast, so it's just like you just see his torso like going like
Oh,
it's go at least go on YouTube and look up like funniest scene. There's a shot where they're in a diner and she like picks up like a ketchup squirt bottle. goes to her plate, squeezes it, no ketchup comes out, and then she just puts it back as normal. Like the movie is just crazy. Like, I'm not joking. Like, legitimately, you might enjoy it.
Okay.
I did. Not in being a good movie. Now, I do have to give credit where it's due. I actually think Robert Pattinson is actually very good in this movie. I think he's the only good actor in this movie. And I give him credit. He has a very bad role. I think he's actually legitimately good in it.
He's really good. I mean, he's really good in other. I really liked him in the Batman, and I think a lot of people did. I thought he was excellent. I thought even before that when he was in the Robert Eggers movie, the Lighthouse, excellent, also excellent. Like, so he's a great actor. Yeah,
no, and he's good in this.
And he's also good in
and he
this one.
sells the role. He's the only every other actor in the movie is like, when you see an actor who like acts for the first time and oversells every line, what is going on here? You know, like that's like everybody in the movie. It's buck wild, this thing. So I enjoyed it. I didn't finish it. I'll be the first to admit I didn't finish it because it wasn't good. But at least look up some scenes on YouTube and get a chuckle out of
you're
some
making me want to watch this. And maybe I will give it a shot. I'm a sucker for so bad it's good. I really do like those kind of films.
I was surprised. I was expecting it to be just straight bad, and it actually, I again don't finish it. Although do get to the vampire baseball scene, which is also super funny.
Oh, okay. I've heard.
There's
I've
some
heard
real
of
goofy
this.
shit.
I've heard of
yeah.
this.
Which is funny because the later films, which I've seen clips of, I haven't watched. Obviously, the budget's way higher. They look more expensive. They're more over the top. But this one, because they didn't know if it was going to be successful, they didn't spend any money on it.
A lot of
it's just wacky.
The music, like the soundtrack, is a lot of songs and from bands that I was really into at the time. So I remember being mad because I was like, I like all these like bands. I like Radiohead. I think 15 Step is in the soundtrack. I like the Muse was a band that I was really getting into at the time. They used like a bunch of songs from Muse, Supermassive Black Hole, and like some other ones. And I was just like pissed because I was like, why are all like these are bands that I like in this movie? Why? So,
well, and that sort of gets me to my point. By the way, Jelly Jubilee saying, I remember thinking the books and movies were fun when they came out, but now when I see them on TV all the time, I think, wow, this is so bad, which I think is very fair. But the movie has so many iconic pop culture references that people still refer to today on social media all the time. It is like a quotable, notable movie. Say it, vampire. And the whole and by the way, the whole like music of the movie, it's a lot of that, like, in movies when they have that sound effect, it's like that. It's crazy. I will say though, because to your point, Matt, we got to talk about the 2000s-ness, and I'm going to make a pitch on this being actually kind of a 2000s movie, because you mentioned the soundtrack is very apt. I do feel like it's more that back sort of back half of that decade.
yeah.
But I do think it has a look and a feel. It's got that attitude and that style. This movie, believe it or not, was originally developed by MTV. They were going to put it out as a movie. And I do think it's very much that tone of who were like Googling quickly. I think there's definitely something about it being of the time.
Sean,
but you wouldn't know because you didn't watch it.
If you want to watch all of the Twilight movies for our next film project, I might be on board. You've kind of sold me on it.
No, because here's the problem. The other, I haven't seen the other ones, and I'm telling you, A, the books weren't as good. They got worse as they went on. But B, I doubt the later movies, they had more budget, more attention, more actors. I doubt they're as fun as the first one. So I think it's diminishing returns. That's my guess. I think it's because it's the first one, that it's probably the fun shitty kind rather than like the dumb shitty kind.
If you want to find out, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea,
No,
is
no.
all.
Matt, let me reference back to an hour ago when I said no more crappy movies on the show,
Well,
and
you
we're
said no,
already going
you
back on
said
that.
promise me the next movie we watch isn't crappy.
Oh, so after
So
that we can watch more
we
bad
can take a
movies.
break. Yeah, what I'm saying is, we can go watch Casablanca first and then,
Mm,
switch back to Twilight.
I would listen. We'll do our Hitchcock marathon, and then we'll watch all the Twilight
Right.
films.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I love Hitchcock. We should
Of
definitely do
course.
Hitchcock on the show. I would
I
be
don't think we would
dynamite.
do it justice, but I would be
No,
down.
but
Yeah.
we never do these
We don't
movies
do anything
justice. We didn't do
justice.
Twilight justice.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought we
any
did
other thoughts on Twilight?
thought we did a good some justice on Planet of the Apes 2001, but um wow. Yeah, see,
Yeah,
I think somebody wants
this is my
a
life.
Twilight movie marathon right here.
No, he's purring in my ear. He says, "Watch Cats. Watch
Cats.
Cats, the movie, the bad one."
But Charlie, that didn't come out in the 2000s.
No, unfortunately, it did. By the way, did you ever see that?
No. No, I still haven't.
That might be the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I watched like 45 minutes of it, and I'm not joking. It is legitimately like baffling in how bad it is.
Did you watch it with the buttholes or without the buttholes?
It would have been better with the buttholes, I think, because at least something would have been entertaining. But
Yeah.
it is a movie where it is. How do you describe Cats the movie? It's a movie where like a movie is made of a million individual decisions, right? It's not one big decision. Lots of little decisions come together to make a movie, and it's like at they're like, what color should that outfit be, or what type of music should we play, or how should the CGI look? At every single step they're like, take the weirdest idea you have and make it 10 times weirder. Like it's literally mind-bending. But anyway, off topic. Matt, we've made it through all four movies this evening, and so now we get to the point where we have to pick one to move on in our 2000s movie bracket challenge, and move on to fight our other films. So is there any standing out to you as a strong 2000s movies contender out of the four we've discussed this evening?
Yeah. I think for me, the 2000ist movie that we discussed tonight would have to be Twilight. I think. I think it's really kind of no contest, but it is a latter 2000s because we talked about how the decade really is split between that early and that late. And this one's definitely in the late camp, but I really can't think of another movie that to me exemplifies the late 2000s better than Twilight. In many different ways and aspects. It has way more staying power than any of the movies we talked about tonight. In the cultural sense. So I really think that I would give my personal recommendation to Twilight. Yeah, even though I didn't even watch
Yeah,
it,
I mean,
but I think
it's
it's still no one can beat it
well.
in this
The
in
good
this
news is, Matt,
context.
we're gonna have to talk about it again, so you have a chance to go back and watch it.
It's
No,
true.
I mean this movie wildly influential. I mean, we wouldn't have The Maze Runner and Divergent and all of these other young adult multi-film series if it weren't for Twilight. In addition to the look and feel of the movie, influencing films for another decade to come. So impactful in decade and after. I totally agree with you. I think Twilight will move on. Now, Matt, we have one more genre left, and then we're going to get into the actual meat of the bracket. We have comedy, which I'm excited for. There's some good stuff in here. We've already picked the four movies. They are Superbad, Mean Girls, Jackass the movie, and Scary Movie.
Yeah. Now this is the first time I have seen all of these movies without a rewatch. I mean, I'll be rewatching them, but I have already seen all of them. And how about you? Have you seen all of them?
I've seen all of them. I think the only one I've seen just once was Superbad, which was back when it first came out, and I never watched again. And I don't remember really loving it, so I'm excited to revisit.
Do you remember Mick
And
loving
Scary
it?
Movie, Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Yeah.
And then Scary Movie, I actually rewatched like a year ago, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. So no,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good list. And I do think we're gonna have some disagreements.
And it's
Because there are some of these movies that I don't think are good.
it's
So
this is also a good scattering of that early and late, because like Superbad, very late 2000s movie, right? And then
yeah,
talking
Jackass I
about
think was very early.
Jackass is early, and I think the Jackass is
Scary
early.
Movie was early
Scary Movie
too.
definitely early. Scary Movie was like on the nose early, right? Was it
Yeah, I think it was
2000?
like 0001,
It was from
something like
2000,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So very, yeah, as early as you can be. So this will be good. I think this will be a really interesting. We might have a good discussion debate about which one, like what is the most 2000s of the bunch, because
I
really
think
kind of
so.
depends on how you qualify it, and how you've been qualifying it all along, if you've been playing along at home.
And by the way, one of those movies I think is aggressively overrated. To find out which, you're gonna have to tune in next time. But before we get to that, Matt, we got to do some plugs here. Of course, our show Up for Debate at upfordebate.tv. Go back, listen to the previous episode so you're all caught up on the movies we're watching before we get into the brackets. And of course, our whole catalog is available on the website, wherever we get podcasts, or on our YouTube channel. Of course, get a hold of us up for debatetv@gmail.com. Now, of course, Matt, this is not the only show you do. You guys are busy over at the Tomorrow is Canceled at tomorrowscanceled.com. Is that right? The tomorrowscanceled.com?
I don't know if we have a .com.
I think I bought that. I think I
Really?
bought that for you.
Tomorrow is canceled. We have a website.
Let me
I'm afraid
check.
to go here, Sean. I'm afraid of what I'm gonna find.
No, I like spent my own hard-earned dollars to buy you tomorrowscanceled.com.
Is this
But
an
it doesn't
early
seem to be
Christmas
working.
present?
Well,
I'm
you got to own
going.
your IP.
I'm going to it. I'm going to it. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, and it
And it points
redirects
to the
to our
show.
show. Okay,
Yeah.
how about that?
Yeah, you're
How
welcome.
about
So
that? Mr. Sean,
tomorrowscanceled.com.
number one
Check out that
fan.
show. Matt does it with the
Yeah,
boys, talking video games, talking anime,
talking
talking
cabbages.
cabbages, all kinds of fun nerd stuff.
Um, we're gonna be recording a spoiler cast pretty soon for Claire Obscure, which many people are predicting will be the game of the year for 2025.
What is that?
It's a very French game that I'm surprised you haven't heard about. It's very like a lot of people really like it.
What is it called?
Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Well, it looks fancy,
Yeah, super French.
like a real game.
Yeah, AAA. Um, and it got a lot of praise. Well, we'll see if it holds up to the Tomorrow is Canceled scrutiny, because some of us liked it more than others. And
Well, the good news is they already announced they're making a movie out of it.
that's right, and a
Which maybe we
potential
can talk about
sequel
on the
to
show.
the game. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that'll be our next thing. I think we'll talk about before the holiday rush sets in. And we got to pretty soon, before you know it, it's going to be our own game of the year. Where we make our own game of the year lists. We talk about them on a year wrap up. So that'll be before you know it. A lot of things happening over at Tomorrow is Canceled. That's canceled with 2 L's. British spelling.
Yeah, great show. No, you guys are crushing it. Matt, can I pitch you an idea for the
Sure.
show?
Pitch it. Pitch away.
And I would, and you guys should definitely do it. And if you need help, I will jump on and help. I would love for you guys to do a gift guide for the dork in your life. Nerdy gifts, and in your area of the woods, like what do you get the guy, let's be honest, the guy in your life? And maybe you guys have some good suggestions for the holidays.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Maybe you'd like to come on the show and
listen,
join us. And
I love giving gifts.
All right.
Oh, that could be fun. No, it's a great show. And of course, Matt is also streaming on Twitch once, even sometimes twice a week, over at
twitch.tv/tomorrow is canceled pod. Tomorrow is canceled pod.
We'll see if I can set up tomorrowiscanceled.com/Twitch to redirect there.
Ooh, okay.
That would be a lot easier.
Computer wizard. By the way, to answer your question before, the answer is Pogs. The dork in your life needs pogs, more
It's
pogs.
a great gift. It's a
Classic,
great gift.
timeless gift.
I was gonna go with a Sebulba bobblehead.
Sebulba Bob also great. Sebulba, great
So say
great
that 10 times
character.
fast.
Sebulba bobblehead. Maybe a nice I don't know, Jabba the Hutt bobblehead, also pretty timeless and cool. How about Pizza the Hut? How about Pizza the Hut from
Got
Spaceballs?
my
What do you
my
got
Las
there?
Vegas Golden Knights. This is Chance, one of their 2 mascots.
Ah,
He's a lizard.
very cool.
Go Knights. So
Did you
check
go
that
to a
out. Be sure
game
to
out
follow
there?
on Twitch. I did when I was out there for a
Nice.
show 2 years ago, and it was bobblehead giveaway night.
Nice.
So
Oh, you went to a good one.
I did. Oh, listen, they have a great stadium there. They're a ton of fun. Won the game. It was a great game. So go Knights. So do go follow Matt on Twitch and get alerted when he goes live. All right. We got to wrap it up here and send some folks home. Appreciate everyone checking out the show. Jelly Jubilee, thanks for joining us live. And we're going to be back soon with some comedies. But until then, on behalf of Matt, I'm Sean. We appreciate you being here. We're going to see you next time for another great episode of Up for Debate.